Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. A quick info before we begin. Today's video has two stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user NewDraw. My male 27 fiancés, female 26 friends are constantly trying to break us up and she won't put a stop to it. I think I've pretty much had enough. My fiancé and I have been together for 3 years and we're engaged to get married this fall. This should be some of the happiest times of our lives, but I just don't know if I can go through with it. When I first met her friends, I thought I got along fine with them, but apparently not. Things have only escalated since we've gotten engaged. Some of the things I put up with are her friends telling her she's too young to get married, her friends telling her I'm too boring for her, and her friends inviting her to girls-only nights only to find out when she gets there that some of the other girls have their boyfriends with them. Her friends are actively trying to set her up on dates and introduce her to other men, sometimes at these girls-only nights. They've tried to insinuate to me that she might be cheating on me and I should break up with her, and of course they love to bring up any sexual thing from her past. Honestly, it's completely draining. My fiancé insists that she loves me more than anything else, but she keeps putting up with the behavior of her friends and making excuses for them. They've all been friends since they were kids, so I understand her wanting to keep seeing them, but this is crazy. If she's going to keep hanging out with them and letting them interfere with our relationship, I can't imagine that things are going to get better leading up to the wedding or even afterward. I've never been one to say it's your friends or me, but I think it's way past that point now and I'm ready to call it off if she seriously won't do anything about it. Should I give her another chance to stand up to her friends, or is this just a lost cause at this point? Ouch, OP, this sounds like a whole collection of red flags. My big question here would be, when you say give her another chance, how many chances have you already given her? Because patterns are a thing, you know, you call her out, she says she'll do something about it, she doesn't, and you just move on thinking that something good happened when it actually did not. And of course, 2 weeks later, it comes up again. And the whole ultimatum thing of it's your friends or me, I personally don't like it because it's just the pick-me dance, but from another angle. My other big question is, what does she do when she gets to these only girls' nights and there's other guys there or somebody's introducing her to her date for the night or whatever? Does she call them out? Does she storm off? Does she call you so you can get over there quickly? Here's the thing. Words mean nothing when they're not accompanied by actions, and she's not doing anything. No, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. She is doing plenty, but just the wrong thing. She's making excuses for her friends disrespecting your relationship. Now, OP, you've been in this situation for 3 years, and I'm going to assume that you have brought this up to her and that you're not just venting here without you having done anything. So, based on that, OP, I would say enough is enough. I don't know if you should just call off the engagement because you don't want to get married with somebody who won't have your back as a wife, or you just want to call off the whole relationship because you don't want to be with somebody who doesn't have their partner's back. All of this to say, OP, if I was in your shoes, I would have had enough a while ago and I would have been out. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Let's Die Anywhere Else says, I'm ashamed to say that I behaved this way towards the boyfriend of one of my old friends at first. I didn't mean to hurt him, I just felt I was seeing red flags she was ignoring. After they had been together for about 1.5 years, she told me and another close friend, this is my relationship, this is the person I've chosen to be with. If you don't have concrete evidence that proves he is doing something that is directly detrimental or dishonest towards me, I don't want to hear it. If you can't respect me enough to understand my wishes on this, then we just aren't going to be able to have the friendship we've had up to now. After having some time to reflect and finding my own relationship, I realized that I was using quirks of his, that would be a deal breaker for me, to unfairly judge him as a less than ideal partner for her. I actually ended up apologizing to him for sticking my nose where it didn't belong, and we had a pretty friendly relationship after that. That being said, he was 22, she was 20, and I was 19. It's kind of strange that these women are 7 years older and exhibiting the kind of immaturity that you'd expect from kids in their late teens or early 20s. It sounds like maybe they're still in the casual dating scene and maybe jealous that she is going to be less available or growing up soon in a sense. Either way, you're the one she is making a commitment to, and if she can't tell them to cut the crap, particularly if they're actively trying to get her to cheat on you, what the F? Then you should probably tell her you're not willing to become life partners with someone who has such little care for your feelings. Unrelated note about the friend I mentioned earlier, she and her boyfriend have been together for some 14-15 years and counting now. I hope that you end up with that too, whether it's this girl or one in the future. Captain Kid 96 says, please move on. You aren't even married and you are already having problems which will get even worse over time. Don't go into marriage when the situation is meh. You should only go if the situation is F yeah. If you don't try to rationalize your problems away and decide to marry her, then you will be even more miserable and it will end up in a divorce. Please take your emotions out of this and think from an objective perspective. Her friends are not the problem, she is. If she would really respect and love you, she would tell her friends to F off with their crappy attitude. Bedtime Shine says, 1. The main reason they have a negative opinion about you is due to how your girlfriend portrays you to them. 2. Them insinuating that she's cheated probably aren't exactly lies. 3. What's stopping her from calling you up and telling you to come out once she sees other boyfriends are there? 4. What's stopping her from turning around and walking out the minute they try to set her up with other men? 5. You should have already ended it. No friends or me ultimatum. Let walking be the ultimatum. Nothing is going to change until you drop the hammer anyway. Additional information from OP's comments. I'm sure my girlfriend and her friends vent to each other. I've heard things about guys that the other girls are dating too. Maybe I am the ass, I don't know. Her friends and me are very different people. They still go out to the bars every Friday and Saturday night and usually at least one other night during the week depending on what's going on. I'm more of an outdoors kind of guy as opposed to the bar scene and we tend to do most of our activities during the day now. But we still go out to the bars a few times a month. If she wants to go more, I'm fine with that. I don't know, whenever I bring this up, she usually just brushes it off saying things like, they're just kidding around. Sometimes they think they're losing a friend and sometimes go a bit overboard. They like you, you're just not as outgoing as my exes. I think you're imagining it. They probably didn't mean it like that. They're just immature, don't worry about it. I've asked if there's something I've done and she can't think of any reason, at least something she'll tell me. The biggest thing that I can come up with is that they don't seem to like that I'm not into going out to the bars a few times a week. Now, one of the things that prompted this post is that at a party, one of her friends did a "remember that one time?" and mentioned a drunken hookup she had from back then. My fiance was really embarrassed that it was brought up in front of me, but didn't really seem to confront her friends about it. I shrugged it off since I did the same crap in college. Still, I thought it was pretty rude to bring that up in front of me. Who does that? A jerk, OP. The answer to that question is a jerk. I'll be talking to my fiance later today and I'll see what we can agree on. I'm marrying her, not her friends, but if they're going to continue to be a constant irritation, it's going to be a drag on our marriage, and I can't see me putting up with it forever. We'll just have to get to the bottom of it before the wedding will happen, considering I'm so at the walking away point right now. Alright, well, the community told OP exactly what they thought about the situation, and I think they were all very on point. Now, I think OP is kind of reading the comments, but I don't know if he's fully there. Now, he has given us 2 updates to this whole situation, so let's move on with the first one to see what happened next. But of course, before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after the video. Now, let's move on with that update. So, no cheating and DNA testing prove we're both who we say we are. We talked quite a bit over the weekend about this whole thing. She'd like to get it resolved as much as I would. So it pretty much comes down to this. Her friends think I'm an ass, they think I'm rude, and they think I talk down to them like I think I'm better than them. I asked my fiance if she thought that was true. She said around other people, no, but around her friends, yes. I had to counter that I might be that way since they're always trying to break us up. She understands that, but for now, she wants me to just hold my tongue and not start insulting them if they get bitchy, and she'll take care of it. If that's the only side they see of me, it's hard for her to change their minds. I'm going to work on that. We talked about her friends thinking she was too young. She disagrees and says she's ready. We talked about her friends thinking I was too boring. She disagrees with that as well. We just do different things than they like. My fiance and I do a lot of outdoor activities: hiking, mountain biking, running, swimming, and rock climbing. Her friends like the club scene better. She admits she wasn't really into the outdoor stuff at first, but loves it now. We talked about her friends implying she was cheating. She said that was supposed to be a joke, but it came out poorly. They were trying to tease me about a night when she bumped into an ex at the club, but it didn't come out right. She asked me how I'd react if my friends said the exact same thing to me. I agreed I'd laugh it off, but it's different coming from people I don't trust. She agrees that it was out of line for them to try and set her up with someone, but she put a stop to it long ago. Other things she thinks I'm taking out of context or blowing out of proportion, but she doesn't say I'm wrong and understands me feeling that way considering who the comments are coming from. She admits she has overshared and vented our problems to her friends, which probably hasn't helped their perception of me. She apologized to me for that. I'm not going to recap an entire weekend's worth of conversations, but we covered everything. She talked to a bunch of her friends and at least a couple of them seemed receptive to a ceasefire between us. She's arranged an escape room night with me, her, and two of the receptive friends next weekend. She thought it might be a fun middle ground. It's not an outdoors thing and it's not a club. We'll see how we all get along. I don't think this is going to be fixed quickly, but we're willing to try. I'm sorry, OP, but I don't like it. I don't like any of it. She's basically in the same position. She half validated what you brought to the table because all the rest, well, you were just blowing that out of proportion, right? And instead of actually having your back and standing up for you with the spine a partner should have, she's just doing this sort of political thing where she kind of tries to please everybody. Yeah, so far, not good enough for me. Now, how about we move on to the final update to see what happened next and how the story ends. Here's my last update on this situation before I delete this throwaway. I know a lot of you are saying that my fiance is choosing her friends over me, or that she's not taking responsibility, or that she's putting it all on me. I get what you're saying, I really do, but she is trying. She hates making waves and wants everyone to be happy and is trying to please everyone, but that strategy just doesn't work. It's hard for her to stick up for herself, but she's trying. I can tell she is. As long as she's trying, I'll try. So anyway, in case anyone is interested in our escape night, it was okay. Not great, not miserable, but okay. I think I can compare it to some corporate team building exercises with coworkers you really don't like. Sure, you can have fun doing it and maybe even get along with them for a while, but at the end of the day, you're not really interested in being friends with them outside of work. That's how this whole thing felt. The escape room itself was fun. We solved the room with just under 10 minutes left. Certainly not a record-breaking time, but the main thing is we got out. No real conflict, we all stayed pretty chill. The four of us did dinner together afterward and talked for a while. Again, it was fine. Her friends and I don't have much in common, so there's not a lot to talk about. So we discussed some of the puzzles from the escape room before moving on to our upcoming wedding. The main thing is that the beer was cold and the food was warm, so I was happy. My fiance was pretty pleased about how the night went. I guess it went as good as it could. Her friends and I spent a few hours together and didn't fight or insult each other, so that's a win. I don't see any of us becoming good friends, but maybe being civil to each other is the first step and maybe the best we can hope for. I didn't want to rain on her parade, but I did remind her that it was just one night. You could say I'm still pretty skeptical about the whole thing, but I guess we'll wait and see. However, I asked my fiance what's going to happen if her friends don't stop interfering in our lives, and she said she would start dropping bridesmaids. And to me, that's a good starting point, and I do expect follow-through. Anyway, all I know is neither of us wants this drama to continue, and since it looks like my fiance is finally taking steps to put her foot down and stand up for herself and us, I'll stand with her too. I don't know, OP. I want to believe you, but I just don't know. Maybe I'm jaded because of all the Reddit stories, but I'm really skeptical. Like you, I would like to see some follow through. The first mishap, I'd be out, honestly. Like that commenter said, no ultimatum, no nothing. I'd just be out. So OP, here's honestly wishing that I am absolutely wrong about this and that everything goes well and you have an amazing wedding and marriage with this person. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that, like I said in the beginning, also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's by user BeThere4. I, 23 female, need help communicating to my musician boyfriend, 28 male, of under 1 year that he needs to financially contribute. We've been dating for 10-ish months and living together for 3 months. Everything about our relationship is great besides the finances. 3 months ago, right after we moved in together, of course, my boyfriend decided to quit his part-time job to pursue music full-time, and I agreed to help financially for 2 months as I hold a modest but full-time job. Now, it's obviously 1 month overdue and he just started working a couple of times a week in retail. There is still no income through music. It's really frustrating because before he was at least working 5 times a week and had sufficient income to cover his rent. I simply can't afford to support both of us on my full-time income. I will probably go over budget by a couple of $100s to just buy groceries. At this point, I should be saving for grad school, but instead, I'm using up my savings and it's making me feel terrible. How do I tell him that I honestly cannot afford to support both of us? I want to give him a firm deadline to find work that will be at least as much as what he was earning before, while still showing support for his dreams in music. It's giving me a lot of stress and anxiety, but I don't want to cut this relationship off for this. Oh, but you should, OP. You should cut and run. 10 months into the relationship, you've been living already together for 3 months and he quit his job as soon as he got his foot in the door? Yeah, that sounds sketchy at a minimum. Or else it's just a horrible coincidence. Now, for the sake of argument, let's assume that I'm being a negative Ned and that it's actually something else. Well, OP, you tell him that he needs to pick his ass up and go get a job to contribute because you can't carry both of your weights at the same time. If he starts selling you that his album, his LP, or whatever he's gonna put out with his music is gonna be worth it. It's a gold mine waiting to happen. That'd be my cue to say, okay, well, go chase it by yourself and living somewhere else. And on the other hand, if he does get a job, well, then it's a win-win, isn't it? And what do you guys think OP should do at this point? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out what the community comments are saying. Yes, maybe possibly says, his dreams are not worth your health and stress, especially after only dating for a little while. And he is older than you too. He should have life a bit more figured out than just living off of you. You tell him that you will support his dreams if he supports your well-being, also known as pays his way and is not a creepy freeloading person. Trash TV 16 says, obviously it's great. He's living off you, so he's happy as can be. You need to simply tell him you can't afford to continue supporting both of you. His response will indicate if he's in it for the relationship with you or the relationship with your bank account. Step back and think about this objectively, OP. The guy is pushing 30 and has no significant income. And Wandering Woodwind says, as a professional musician, this is a lot of yikes. If working in music is that important, he should be working in a music shop and teaching children. People like him give people like me a bad name. I pay my bills and have a career job. I do nothing but music all day, every day. Fabulous life. I'll likely never be a concert flautist like I wanted, but I adore teaching children and selling instruments. Realistic, actual good musicians don't expect to be famous and bust our asses to be able to afford our bills and nice equipment. Okay, well, the community gave OP a lot to think about, like letting go or confronting him or actually telling him what kind of jobs he should be trying to get. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Before I begin my update, thank you to everyone who talked some sense into me and gave me thoughtful and helpful advice. The advice relieved a lot of my anxiety and stress about the issue and prepared me for my conversation ahead. It's been nearly 2 months since my post and thought it'd be a good idea to update those who have helped me. Most people suggested that I consider leaving him because he made irresponsible decisions unilaterally while pushing 30. This was true, but one of the Redditors on my original post stated that I should make my decision based on his response. He sees the problem and actively works to fix it or not change anything about his lifestyle, and I decided to give him a chance. I had the conversation and made sure he understood that under no circumstances would I let him keep taking advantage of me, nor would it happen ever again. Immediately the next day, he started submitting applications to places that were awesome. However, he didn't hear back from too many places for a while. It turns out that he just never really learned how to adult. He didn't know what a resume looked like and never had written a cover letter. No wonder he wasn't having success with finding a day job. Now, I admit I was shocked that he never looked a resume up online, but rapidly got to help him with this because I recognize some people never got formal education on career development. So we worked together to draft a beautiful resume and cover letter. And he never stopped applying for jobs. Well, 2 months later, I have a happy update to say that we are still together and my boyfriend has finally found a nice day job. He enjoys that it's a more relaxed environment than his previous positions, which helps him have energy and time for his music after. He's been working just under full time for the past month and we are almost back to normal financially, although still catching up due to the holidays. Ever since he started working again, our relationship has really improved and we are sincerely enjoying each other's company. So somehow it all worked out. Thanks again for all the responses. Well, I stand corrected and have been proven wrong. I love it. Thank you, OP. I was just being a negative Ned. It's good to see that you confronted him properly and he got his ass up and did what he had to do. It sucks that he didn't get a formal education on career development, but as you say, you can look up resume on Google and you'd get a lot of examples. Regardless, promise has been solved and it's all good. So thank you so much for sharing, OP, and all the best in the future. Take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.